Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of the Women of Wrestling podcast here on Ring Bells, episode 51, as we begin our second 50 shows. Oh my god. I am Irish G. Allen here alongside my colleague, Freaky Lee Burton.
Yo!
And we have a really, really nice special guest today, someone who's just announced in the last week that she will be returning to the ring. We're talking about Serena Deeb.
Yeah, we got in touch with her pretty soon after the announcement has been made, and she said, yeah, I'm happy to speak to you guys, so here she is.
Yes, we talked to her, actually, as we record this. We talked to her yesterday. She's a very busy woman. We had to basically grab the time when we could, so she was in a coffee shop between yoga practice. So if there's a bit of background hustle and bustle on the interview segment of the show, that'll be why.
Yeah, but it does mean that we had a really good chance to have a chat with her, sit down, sort of thrash out the decisions for coming back and aspirations, hopes, dreams, fears, that kind of stuff as well. So we'll be with you very, very soon with that interview. But there are some other things going on in the world, so we just feel like we should give them a little bit of a mention.
Yeah, well, I don't really know why this is the case, but it does always seem to be the case that all of the main women's only promotions all end up running basically in the March, April, May, and then again in October, November time. And we end up getting these two sort of really compacted seasons a year. And we're just about to go into the silly season again now with a whole bunch of shows coming up the next couple of months. And we thought we'd taken a quick opportunity, just if you haven't been paying attention to the roundup, and if not, why not? Or if you haven't been paying attention to the various posts on the website, we thought we'd give you a quick audio reminder of what all is coming up.
So, let's start at the start, shall we? Because there's even coming up in the next week, we've got stuff that's worth talking about.
Yeah, we've got 2 shows this weekend, one in the US, one in the UK. The one in the US is Shine 7. That's Friday night, February 22nd, from Ybor City as usual. Main event, the return to the ring of Rain, taking on Amazing Kong. And for my money, with all due respect to Rain and Kong, the main event of that show, Leva Bates versus Kimberly in a last woman standing match.
Quite a lot of intriguing stuff on that card. Like I say, last woman standing between Leva and Kimberly. You've got the whole Valkyrie thing that's going on as well. April Hunter's taking to the ring for the first time in Shine.
Lufisto's there as well.
Yeah, we've got a couple of other debuts as well. Brittany Savage is going to be there. Jessie Bell is debuting as well. So it's kind of a mix of some of the names who you recognise a lot, some of the names that you may have only heard of or haven't seen that much of. So it's a lovely sort of what's the word that I'm looking for? It's like a buffet of different wrestlers.
A wrestling buffet.
Yes.
Yeah, Shine has this thing where it's kind of got a fluid roster. There are a few people that are there pretty much every show, but the rest of the roster, and I'd say maybe even as much as 60% of the roster is changeable on any given month. So yeah, it's a nice little change this month to have the likes of Lufisto on there, and I imagine perhaps the likes of Brittany Savage, who's now moved recently to Florida, may become a regular on there.
Exactly. Next day, though, in the UK, Pro Wrestling Eve presents its special edition 2 show with War Games main eventing it. I think it's the first War Games match that I know of in the UK, so this is a pretty interesting one.
Yeah, you're probably right on that one. I can't think of any else off the top of my head. It's Team Alpha versus Team Nikki Storm.
So it's Alpha Female, it's Bette Noir, it's Viper, and it's April Davids taking on Nikki Storm, Shana, Rhea O'Reilly, and the Amazon Aisha Ray. War Games format, but I believe it's in 1 ring rather than 2.
Yes. It would be nice if it was in 2. But I don't know. I guess cage matches are still a relative rarity, as well they should be. And I don't think anyone's got the facility to do a 2-ring cage in the UK.
Probably not, no.
But yes, that looks like a good show, and I'm actually going to be gutted that I'm not going to be able to go and see that one live, but you will be there in person for that one.
I will be there, yes.
I will be down the road at Dragon Gate that night, calling the moves of small Japanese men.
Men's wrestling?
I know. I know. I do apologise.
This doesn't exist.
I'm afraid it does sometimes. But yes, coming hot on the heels of that, though, we've got AIW's Girls Night Out 8 from Cleveland on March 1st. And this is going to be an interesting show because we've covered the Girls Night Out shows over the last couple of years on the site. The first couple of shows I reviewed, I had to wait for the DVDs to be released and sent out to me. Most recent couple of Girls Night Outs, I've been able to get them on video on demand from Smart Mark Video reasonably soon after the show. But this one, they've gone one better and they're putting this one on iPay-per-view.
This is going to be quite interesting because with a DVD taping, as we know, you have the sort of the leeway to be able to change things around, maybe cut bits down or maybe pad things out as well with extra promos and things like that. On an iPay-per-view, you get one go at it.
Yes.
So I guess it's not going to be any different to going out there and wrestling in a normal match because, when you're wrestling a normal match, you only get one shot at it. But, with it being on iPay-per-view, with it being broadcast around the world, I think it adds a different feel to it. So it's going to be quite interesting to see what happens on it.
And it's interesting as well because WSU on their recent show opted not to go with iPay-per-view on their CZW doubleheader show. I think Drew Cordero was talking about how the fact it's not a perfect medium yet. So we wish all the best for AIW. Hope all comes together very well for them on the night. It's going to be an interesting show as well, though. They've got 4 qualifier singles matches, and the 4 winners of those qualifying singles matches will go into a 4-way ladder match, and the winner of that ladder match will get a shot at some indeterminate point in the future against the AIW Absolute Women's Champion, Allysin Kay.
Meanwhile, Kay's also in action that night. She's going to be wrestling an as-yet unnamed opponent.
Savio Vega.
Yes, she's going to be wrestling Savio Vega. That's always the unnamed opponent.
Yes. No, it's curious, actually, that one. We've had a bit of a off-air discussion about that in the past. I'm not entirely sure who this is likely to be honest with you, so it'll be interesting. But the 4 singles matches that will determine the 4 competitors in the ladder match, we've got Sassy Steffi versus Taylor Made in the battle of Allysin Kay's tag team partners.
Yeah.
We've got Annie Social versus Crazy Mary Dobson. We've got Leva Bates versus Veda Scott. And we get Kimberly versus Athena. So there's some talent there. Looking forward to seeing who A, comes through those matches, and B, how the ladder match goes.
Yeah, so I think there's quite a lot of intrigue on this show.
Yes. Also, in March 24th, Bellatrix 5. This is the first rebranded. I mean, I know all the WAWW shows were called Bellatrix shows over the last year, but the WAWW name is now gone. It's just Bellatrix. Bellatrix 5, and it's going to feature a historic match. It's going to have Saraya Knight defending the Shimmer Championship against Destiny in the first ever Shimmer Championship match in the UK.
This is going to be quite an interesting thing because it's not only just a Shimmer title match, it's under British rules. So we've got 10 3-minute rounds.
Yes. So it's interesting. It's going to be a curiosity, I think, as far as, Shimmer title matches, because again, none of them have ever had this British rounds style before. But if you're going to do it, it's the 2 right people to do it with. Absolutely.
They've been wrestling for years against each other.
Yeah, wrestling, fighting, tearing lumps out of each other for years. And yeah, I fully expect that if they go out there with the intention that they are going to have a great match, they will have a great match. That's kind of the way those 2 go with each other. They're very much hand in glove. They will work well together.
I think it's going to be a cracker of a match.
Yeah. Also, I'm really interested in Penelope versus Erin Angel on that show as well.
Just a pair of flyers, really. I think it's, if you consider that Saraya versus Destiny is probably going to be quite ground-based and quite technical and also knocking lumps out of each other, Penelope versus Erin is going to be something very different. It's going to be sort of fast-paced, probably taking to the air quite a bit as well.
Yeah, and technical. That's going to be good. Also, the return of Queen Maya after her broken arm. She's going to be taking on Liberty.
in the match. It's sort of a rematch from Bellatrix 4 where the arm was broken. So there might be a little bit of bad blood there as well.
Yes. And then a week after that, Saraya is off on her travels. She's off to Montreal, first of all. She's going to be one of 3 triple main events. These were the triple main events that were announced by Stefan on show 49. It's going to be Calamity defending the NCW Femmes Fatales International Championship against Mercedes Martinez. We're also going to have Sweet Saraya versus Lufisto. And we're going to have a dream match for a lot of people. Cheerleader Melissa and Jessica Havoc.
I mean, any one of those could be a main event anywhere, and you've got those 3 matches all together on one show. I mean, that's a cracker of a card.
You're coming across all Gorilla Monsoon here. That could be a main event anywhere in the country.
I didn't mean to sound like Gorilla, but, Gorilla rules.
Will you stop? And then the week after that, Shimmer in Secaucus, New Jersey, part of WrestleCon. The return of Serena Deeb, as we'll find out very soon. Also, Saraya versus Melissa in a cage. Athena versus Ayako Hamada. Mia Yim versus Amazing Kong. The return of Madison Eagles. All sorts of goodness.
And that's just
Evie as well.
It's a stacked card.
Yes. And then a week after that, more Shimmer, because you can't have too much.
Is that a more MOAR by any chance?
Possibly. I never thought about it, but if you like. As we've got volumes, I guess be 54 through 57 being recorded in Berwyn.
So yeah, that's the usual sort of spring pilgrimage, really.
Yes, and basically all of the talent that has been confirmed so far for the New Jersey show will be on the Berwyn shows as well, with the exception so far at least of Amazing Kong. So yeah, there's still plenty of talent to be announced for both shows, including, we understand, a new Joshi talent.
Yeah, so it seems like we may have some brand new names to find out about, a little bit of research going on.
Yes. And one other big show then in April will be another Pro Wrestling Eve special edition show in Sudbury. And this one's going to have some interesting guests. Not only is it going to have the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, and Tommy Dreamer involved in the show, it's also going to have the European debut of Leia Von Dutch,
who's also going to be wrestling at the subsequent Pro Wrestling Eve show on May 25th. I know I'm jumping a little bit ahead there, but there's a Queen of the Ring tournament taking place on May 25th. She's also going to be involved in that.
So yes, it's going to be a busy few months. As usual, we will attempt to bring you as much up-to-date coverage as we possibly can on the website. Get your diary out, write down some dates, determine what you can go and see if you can, and what you can't go and see. Come to the website, we'll keep you up to date.
I mean, we're hoping to either see or be at most of these events in some capacity, so hopefully we'll be able to bring you some decent coverage as well.
Not enough of them, though. Not enough of them.
Yeah, we need to, win money or extort money or something.
Extort money.
Yeah, if there's any rich benefactor who's listening to this podcast right now and thinks, oh, I just want to get rid of some money as some kind of tax write-off thing. Essentially, I'm talking to Panda Energy here. If you want to give us some money, that'd be great.
Panda Energy or possibly Jay Vargas.
If you're listening, that'd be sweet.
JV Rich, we love you.
We love you lots. We love you 10.
And of course, couched right in the middle of that as well is the biggest show of the year for pro wrestling, WrestleMania.
I thought you were talking about an all-star show that was going on in Bromley. Okay, fair enough.
Not quite. No, WrestleMania, we thought we'd just touch on this briefly as well. We're talking about all these great matches coming up in women's wrestling over the next couple of months. And, we haven't even touched, by the way, here on stuff that's happening in Japan. There's, big matches coming up there as well, big shows coming up around the world. But it's the biggest show of the year. It's WrestleMania. It's going to probably be the biggest show of all time as far as the amount of money that it makes. And at the minute, we're now 48 days or something away from...
Oh, are we going by days now?
Well, yeah, I watched the pay-per-view last night and it said there were 49 days to WrestleMania.
Oh, there was the countdown clock on there, wasn't it?
I guess it's now 48 days to WrestleMania as we record this. But yeah, we're now just one big show away, and well, Kaitlyn's your Divas champion, and she's got no programs going forward.
Yeah, I mean, we made a prediction a little while ago when she won the Divas title that chances are she was going to be wrestling Tamina Snuka first, get a win over her, claim a big scalp as far as size and presence is concerned. And then we predicted that she was going to be wrestling AJ Lee as some kind of feud, which I guess presumably, if it does happen, would have to now happen at WrestleMania.
Well, yeah, but if you watch the show, and I'm talking about Elimination Chamber, there was a promo from Kaitlyn before her match where she talked about what she's done in the last year, and she mentioned fighting AJ, and she mentioned fighting Eve Torres, and they were both sort of mentioned as if they were, these are historical feuds. It didn't give me the impression that they were going to retouch on the AJ Lee feud, so I really don't know what they're going to do from here on. The rest of the Divas division was backstage watching the match, and
that was a sorry sight.
What a sorry sight for a division that was. And there's I don't know, there's not a lot on the on the docket for WrestleMania as far as the women are concerned. So what I'm saying right now is, I think we're going to have another Trish Stratus match.
You reckon?
Yeah, I know you're not a big fan of this, but she's getting inducted into the Hall of Fame the night before. And I reckon they'll get her to do another match at WrestleMania. I think we'll have a better idea, possibly, after either Raw tonight or maybe in another week's time or so. They're going to have to make some decisions as far as this is concerned. But I can't see a Kaitlyn singles match of any sort being on WrestleMania. I think if anything, you might be looking at some sort of tag team match that might involve Trish.
Well, genuinely, that's what happens these days at WrestleMania, isn't it? It's usually a multi-person woman match, so it gets as many women onto the card as possible for that pay-per-view payday.
Yes.
So it's very unlikely that it's going to be a singles match, and unless it's Kaitlyn versus AJ, I really can't see the point of having any other singles match there, because that's the only one that you could have a backstory with and have history.
Yeah, unless there's a last minute turn, unless Natalya beats up Kaitlyn backstage on Raw or something like that, which they could do, but I just don't see it. I think if anything, if we're going to have a woman being inducted into the Hall of Fame the night before, they're probably going to want to have a women's match on the show. And, why not try and get one more big match out of Trish?
Well, Trish hasn't wrestled a singles since she's done this kind of return.
Yeah, it'll be a tag match, I guess. Off the top of my head, then, we're talking what? Kaitlyn and Trish versus...
Now you're struggling, aren't you?
Tamina and... Oh God, Rosa Mendez? No.
It's got to be AJ.
Well,
it can't be anybody else. Unless you're planning on throwing out Naomi and Cameron.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting road to WrestleMania for the Divas. Let's put it like that.
Let's hope that they do something.
Yeah.
Apart from dancing in front of some kind of celebrity singer or something.
Yeah. Well, I do remember a couple of years ago when Eve was the Divas champion, and the extent of her appearance on WrestleMania that year was a backstage skit with Mae Young.
Oh, the dark days. They've been a long time.
So yeah, we'll see. But, regardless of what's coming up at WrestleMania, we've got more pressing concerns. And first thing we've got to do is basically get to the meat and potatoes of the podcast, which is the interview which we recorded yesterday with the wonderful Serena Deeb. Okay, we are back now with our special guest at this time, a lady who is making her third appearance on the show, but more importantly, a lady who is making her return to the ring at Shimmer 53 on Saturday, April 6th, 2013. That's as part of the WrestleMania weekend festivities. And she'll also be at Berwyn for the Shimmer tapings the week after. We're talking about the wonderful Serena Deeb. Serena, good to have you back.
what a feeling. I'm coming back, baby. It's good to be with you guys again.
It's a statement that we didn't think we'd be able to say at some point. I mean, I know the last time we spoke to you, things were looking quite rough with this concussion that you had. I'm personally just very glad to know that you're in a position where you're happy to make a return.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I know it was so up in the air for so long, and there were a lot of back and forths on my end, and a lot of uncertainty along the way, and I'm sure that probably translated. I know, Lee, you and I have been in very close contact since the concussion, and I mean, you know very well how much I've struggled with the decision. So, it feels really good to have called it the way I did and feel confident about it. And it feels like the right timing, finally.
Well, you mentioned about the timing there, and like you said, we have been talking about it. How long has it been that you kind of had the all clear from this concussion, and if you wanted to come back to wrestling, you were able to do so?
The thing with the clear, the particular doctor that I've seen through the whole thing, he's very conservative, and he's the first to admit that. So he's not, he's never given me sort of a yes or no answer. He's sort of left it up to me along the way. So there was never like a definitive clear, as there would be with a normal other injury, because with issues with the head, it's going to be a risk either way. But I know that, and ultimately I had to make the decision for myself, and I feel that I gave myself ample time in the 18 months away. So I feel very happy with it.
And what are your symptoms like now then? Do you have any symptoms, or is everything completely clear? The headaches you were having, are they completely past now?
Yeah, for the most part, I don't really see any symptoms anymore. It took a while, though. I mean, the first few months after that taping where it happened, I was really just kind of a different person. Like, I was pretty out of it, not really very, very alert or very sharp. So it definitely has taken time, but it's all back.
And we spoke to you pretty soon after the concussion was diagnosed, and you were still having tests on it. I mean, that was, and like you said, it happened for a few months. So what was maybe that Christmas like? Because I know that you've been working hard for that whole year. You'd got into fantastic shape. You were having brilliant matches. It was kind of taken away from you without your choice. I mean, what was Christmas like for you then?
It was just a rough time all around. I mean, I wouldn't say Christmas was any different than the rest of that time. It was just very much, it was very blurry, and it was sad because, like you said, I mean, I really felt like I was at the peak of my career at that point. I was really enjoying myself, and I felt like I was really at the top of my game, and I just kind of had the rug swept out from underneath me so quickly, so abruptly. So the whole probably 6 months after following the episode, it was just, this is a pretty down time. It's kind of like I was 25 years old at the time. Yeah, 25 years old at the time, and just felt so young to like have something like that, possibly be taken away from me. So it was pretty tough.
So when did you make the decision and say, right, I'm coming back?
Pretty much like last week. I've been going back and forth for so long. There were thoughts of coming back in the fall for the Shimmer tapings then, but I wasn't fully behind myself with that decision. And then 2 weekends ago, I went up and visited some really good friends who run the Pro Wrestling Syndicate promotion in New Jersey, which is an awesome promotion. I'm really happy for what they've built there, and really looking forward to wrestling there. But I went up there and I practiced with them, and really great locker room, and I went to the show and had such a blast and saw a lot of old friends, and it was just very much a a direct in my face reminder that, you know, this is still my love, and it hasn't, despite the distance, that hasn't faded. It's still my passion, and I just felt like leaving that trip, coming back from that trip, I just was convinced, like, I owe it to myself to explore this more, you know?
So that PWS show that you were at then, that's the one that had Amazing Kong on the show. Did you go and see the Bombshell Ladies of Wrestling that afternoon as well?
I did, yeah.
And did you have fun?
Yeah, I had so much fun. It was great. It was nice to be there, like, in just kind of a spectating form, which is, you know, I haven't done that in a really, really long time. So it was really cool to just sit back and enjoy it and be entertained, you know, and there were a lot of my friends on the show, and so I'm entertained by them as people and as performers. So I pretty much just had a ear-to-ear smile the whole entire day.
Did you get recognized then?
You know what? I did, but some of the fans who I was expecting to recognize me didn't. And like some more of the, you know, the specific women's wrestling fans. And they were really caught off guard when they saw my hair, my long hair. They completely didn't recognize me at first.
Oh, did they keep thinking you'd shave your head?
I guess. I don't know. I mean, it's been a year and a half since I've been seen, I guess. So I don't know if they were thinking, if they just had an image in their head that they were, you know, expecting. But I've obviously changed a lot in that time. It's a pretty sexy look.
Well, you know, I rock the shaved head from time to time.
I know you do.
Makes me more streamlined for when I'm running or swimming and stuff.
There you go.
So, you never do those things, Lee.
No, I never run. I never swim. No. It's only for when I'm driving convertible cars and the top's down, I can reach the top speed a lot easier. That's a lie too. I'm just lying completely. But getting back to the point, you said that there were times that you thought about it and you were thinking about maybe coming back later on this year, but you chose to come back now. Is there any points up to this point where you thought it got so close that you thought, I'm going to do this, I'm going to come back, and then at the last minute, before any kind of final decision was made, you thought, no, I don't feel right about this yet?
Yeah, there was. It was in the fall, as I mentioned, and I had been in contact with Steve Prazak a lot and was sort of casually expressing to him, like, you know, having the itch, quote unquote, having the itch, and just, you know, feeling antsy about wanting to get back in. And I can't remember what sparked it at this point. It was probably a conversation with a friend. I'm not even sure what sparked it, but I remember it when I started thinking about it, and, you know, I got my blood boiling and my heart pounding, and started feeling the same excitement about it again. And, you know, that lasted. It didn't stop. But I think what halted me making the decision is just still a lot of, is just so much uncertainty, I guess, about my head at that point still. I guess it was about 6 months ago now, almost. So it's been a little chunk of time, but I was pretty close to calling it, and then just wasn't totally feeling it.
It sounds like the only place where you're thinking about making your comeback was Shimmer.
Yes. I mean, everybody knows I have a soft spot for Shimmer. Shimmer's like, I mean, Shimmer is, you know, second to OVW. It's like my home, and it's been where I've always gone back. You know, I mean, I've always been welcomed back there very warmly, and it's just great. I just so enjoy Shimmer, and I love it. My heart's there. So definitely, it's always been at the forefront.
Now, the fact that you're coming back at the shows, the first show at Volume 53 in New Jersey, that's going to be your return to Shimmer, obviously, but do you think you'll have any sort of like maybe tune-up matches, any low-key matches or anything before that, or will that be your return match?
I don't want to make any official announcements because it's nothing set in stone just yet, but I will be up in Jersey for a few days prior to that show, the Saturday Shimmer show. And as of now, I believe I'll be wrestling my first match back for PWS. They are running back-to-back shows Thursday and Friday, the 2 nights prior to Shimmer. So I believe and I'm hoping that I'll be taking part in either one or both of those shows. But like I said, it's not official, so I don't want to totally throw it out there, but, keep your ears open.
Excellent, will do. Well, look, you seem to have spent a lot of the time whilst you were gone from the wrestling business with yoga. Has that pretty much been your life for the last sort of year and a half? Like you seem to have been traveling around America, practicing yoga and becoming certified at it as well.
Yeah, it was a really cool, different journey. I mean, my teacher training was in California, and then following that, I was, going between New York and Florida, and back to New York and back to Florida. I mean, it was just it was like I was on the road with wrestling for 7 years and traveling wrestler turned traveling yoga teacher. It was pretty cool. So it's, more and more people are jumping on the yoga train now just because it's undeniable. Like once you start practicing, you just realize that it's everybody I think can use yoga. And, I haven't been as much into it for the past 6 months or so. I'm starting to get back into it, and my body is like yelling at me. It's like, it's making it very clear, like, that little hiatus was not good,
Uh-huh. Do you think the yoga had a big part in helping you overcome your injury?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I mean, the mind and the body are not to get all philosophical and deep or whatever, but they're so connected. I mean, if one is out of ease, the other one will be as well. It's just it goes full circle. So, I mean, working on your body in turn works on your brain and vice versa. So I think it definitely helped, and especially helped, I think, with a lot of the regaining of clarity, because that was following the concussion. I had no clarity. I was just very foggy for a long time. So in terms of that, yes, I would definitely say so.
You're in some pretty interesting company when it comes to yoga and things like that. You've got yourself. There's Rain as well, who does the yoga. There's Trish Stratus, very famously, who's into yoga, and Diamond Dallas Page as well. It just seems like wrestling and yoga just seems to have a nice fit to it. You're able to relax from the stresses and strains of the ring.
Sure. Really, I mean, they're perfect complements to each other, because what we do to our bodies in wrestling ring is just so unnatural and so just abusive, and yoga just counteracts that. So it is really great to see more and more people. I mean, Trish was kind of like the pioneer of that, and she's just a marketing machine, and she's just so, I mean, everybody can learn something from Trish. And then DDP, a friend just gave me his DVDs, and I've done a couple of those, and those are really fun. So those are worth checking out if anybody's looking to start a new program. Yeah, it's just great. It's really great to see, because it's such a positive thing for people to do.
If you were thinking about starting out and doing yoga, is there any sort of little things that you can do to kind of ease your way in, or do you just have to maybe just think, right, I'm going to go for it?
The thing about the yoga world is that there are endless options. Like, there's a yoga studio on every corner these days offering a million different forms of yoga. I mean, there's so many different types. It is kind of just like jump in, feet first and try it out, because if you don't like one style, you might like another a lot. And so I don't know. I mean, I think it's definitely, if you're completely new to it, I think it's worth talking to a particular studio and expressing being new. And there's always beginner classes that they'll kind of sway you towards. So that's if you're dealing with like an experienced studio or something, they'll be able to guide you in the right direction. But as far as like the workout, the yoga DVDs, I haven't tried the Stratisfaction ones yet. I really want to, but I know the DDP ones are very well suited for. I mean, he has the people in his DVDs doing the posture to the max, and then he has people kind of like adjusting it for a little bit more beginner. So you could totally jump on and do those as a beginner and just modify.
It also affords you the opportunity of traveling around with yoga. Is it a chance that you're able to go across the country, go across the world, teaching yoga or practicing yoga?
Yeah, there was some talk. I was sort of in talks with my studio a while back about going even over to Australia was an option that was mentioned, but those were sort of longer term commitments that I'm in the process of within the next few months moving across the country and just completely like kind of restarting a new life on a whole separate coast, and it just sort of didn't fit in right now. And I'm just a lot more needing to be here for my family, and it just didn't really fit in. But it's pretty cool that that's an option. If it did fit in, I would jump on it. But unfortunately, right now I kind of just have a lot going on.
Getting back to wrestling then, since you've been off, Davina Rose has now been signed to WWE. What are your thoughts?
I'm so ecstatic for her. I've actually found out, I think I was one of the first people to find out, and I had to keep it a secret for a long time, which was tough because, of course, I just wanted to wish her congratulations loudly because she totally deserves it. I mean, the first time I met her, such a sweetheart, both in and out of the ring. So just eager to learn and very likable and just great to be around. I spent, the first time I ever met her and hung out with her, we spent a whole, probably 2 days together. And I was like, yeah, she's got it. She's totally got it. It was like immediate. So it was going to come eventually, and I'm really happy for her that it came sooner than later because she has a chance to really grow there in Tampa. And I just hope that, she'd just keep her eyes forward and work hard like I know she will, and keep a great attitude and just love wrestling, and that will take her far.
One thing I want to mention is last time you were on the show with us, you talked about the fact that because you had so much spare time, you started devouring TV shows, and I remember you saying you were watching Dexter. Mm-hmm. I want to know, in the last 18 months, how many box sets have you watched?
What, of Dexter?
Of anything. Give us some TV recommendations.
Oh, man. I've watched a lot of stuff. I have a friend who I pretty much just, whatever he recommends, I take his word for because I always end up liking it. So for his recommendation, I started watching Breaking Bad recently. Uh-huh. I really like that show. The Walking Dead is really good. I think I've sort of Dextered myself out. I've been watching Dexter for many years, so I got over that one a little bit for now. Louis is another one that's pretty funny. I just started watching, and I was on a pretty long Grey's Anatomy binge. I watched one episode, I'd never seen it before, and I was just like, I really like this. It's very educational. So I started watching it from the beginning, and I just zipped through 8 seasons of it over the course of a few weeks, and that's a good one too. So Yeah, I don't know. Those are the main ones that come to mind.
I know there are a couple of shows which we've got on over here, which one that I introduced Stu to was New Girl. I mean, have you seen any of that?
Yeah, you know what? I was really into New Girl. Like last season, I guess was the first season. I don't really remember, but last season I think it was. And then when it came back on in the fall, I sort of like, I don't know. I wasn't really captivated by it as I was the first time around. I'm not sure quite why. Maybe I just focused on other shows, but it's very cute. It's a fun, lighthearted show.
And then there's one as well that Stu and I can't seem to agree on. Two Broke Girls.
I've never seen that one, actually.
Oh, we would have loved your opinion on that, because Stu loves it very, 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 very hard, and I don't like it at all. And it would have been quite interesting to see what other people thought of it, because I don't think we'll ever agree on it.
Two Broke Girls. Okay, I'll add that to I have a little list of to watch.
Excellent. Well, listen, while you were off basically for that 18 months, and you were, either A, doing yoga, or B, watching box sets, did you keep in touch with anybody in the wrestling business, or did you kind of, like, because you weren't wrestling, did you kind of just want to get as far away from that as possible?
I definitely drifted from quite a number of people, but people that I would consider like real life friends as opposed to quote unquote wrestling friends. There was a gap. I still have a handful of friends from OVW that I talk to on a probably weekly or bi-weekly basis, and a couple of Tampa friends, and a lot of the girls. I mean, the girls have been great at keeping in touch. Those people that are real true people in my life, we haven't skipped a beat.
What about wrestling itself? Have you kept watching wrestling, as in the actual product? Have you watched the Shimmer DVDs in your absence or anything like that?
You know what? To be quite honest, I have not watched anything. I think I turned on Impact like one night because I was browsing the guide and it was on, and I was like, oh, let's see what's going on, and I loved it because ODB was on, and I mean, she's awesome, of course. So I watched that for like 15 minutes or so. But aside from that, like I just needed a little bit of distance. So the distance was pretty solid as far as watching.
Are you trying to catch up now then?
Not really. I mean, I just think I want to like kind of start with like a fresh outlook. Like I'm not trying to play catch up or anything like that. It's just kind of like go forward and have fun and just kind of relearn as I go, I guess.
So it sounds like you're coming back with a sort of a refreshed attitude more than anything else. I mean, has your mindset about wrestling changed in the time that you've been off and because you've had this concussion?
Yes, very much so.
So how do you feel about it now?
It's kind of, I don't know, it's hard to explain a little bit. I just think I've sort of just taken a step back, and it just kind of takes you out of, like, when you're in it's consuming, and sometimes you're consumed with the wrong things. And I just think that I just was able to kind of take a long breath of fresh air and just experience a lot of life outside of it, and realize that there's so much that I really value in my life aside from just wrestling. It is definitely still my biggest passion, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just like a little bit more of a grown up about it. I'm not sure. It's hard to put into words.
Do you reckon you will change your wrestling style in any way? Do you think you'll alter it given your injury?
I think so, a little bit. I mean, I definitely was taking a lot of risks and doing a lot of stupid things right before my injury. So, in that sense, I need to be much more aware of situations I'm putting myself in, there's always an alternative and a different way to do something. So I don't foresee myself doing a lot of the same crazy, stupid things, but you never know. Once my adrenaline gets going, I can't be held accountable for my actions.
We might still see some spider suplexes. Who knows?
Yes, that will probably creep in eventually.
Oh, wow. It's funny. I mean, you and Madison Eagles both got injuries around the same time, and you've both been out for 18 months, and you're both going to be making your return to Shimmer on the same show. I mean, given the fact that you haven't really been, particularly keeping up with the Shimmer product while you've been gone, it's going to be no different to you, but there's both you and her both making your return at the same show, which is kind of unique.
I know. It's actually, I think that sort of inspired me a little bit. And I mean, I just think very highly of her, as a person and as a wrestler, and I'm really very happy for her that everything is cleared up on her end. And I'm really excited. I mean, I'm excited to go there and just see what's changed, but also kind of have some of the same faces. Like it'll just be really nice. It'll be something completely different. But I'm very, very happy that I'm going to be seeing her face.
What about fear? Is there a maybe a sort of apprehension, a bit scared? When you step into the ring for the first time, how do you think you're going to feel?
I'm sure that I am going to be shaking in my boots, literally. I mean, I wouldn't say that it would be 100% fear based. I think my nerves will probably be jumping off the charts. This is obviously the most time I've ever been out of the ring since I started. But I don't know. Even the practice that I did up with PWS a couple weeks ago, before leading up to the practice, I was expecting myself to be very scared and very, and like you said, apprehensive. But I mean, the very first time I stepped in the ring for the first drill, it was like, I mean, it was like instant. Like I felt at home, and I was right back to the fear was kind of erased at that moment. I just was so happy and just loving each moment that I was in there. So I think that I allowed enough time to go by that I don't think that the fear will really creep in.
Well, you've been doing it for your entire adult life, pretty much. So I suppose that that sort of feeling never goes away, does it?
Yeah, I mean, everybody equated it it was just like riding a bike. Like, don't worry, just like riding a bike. That's that old analogy. And I was like, yeah, but 3 months versus 18 months or something is completely another story. I totally approached that practice feeling like I'm starting over. But I mean, once I got in, my movements and stuff were, I need some more. I need my fluidity back and everything. But for the most part, it really was like riding a bike. It felt completely natural. I guess that's what years and years of hours and hours of practice and training did for me. It just gave me the foundation that it's still there. Even though that much time went by, the foundation is still there. It just needs to be sharpened.
One thing that while you were gone and while you were out, that kind of, what's the best way to put this? Kind of got you back in the sort of attention of kind of wrestling eyes and wrestling community was an incident which happened to you on the July 4th weekend in Tampa. An arrest took place for under suspicion of boating under the influence. I mean, we haven't heard that much about the incident itself because the only person who would really talk about it is yourself, and we haven't really heard anything about what's happened with it. Is there any chance you could maybe fill us in on that situation, what it was about, and what's happened?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It is obviously my personal life has a line. It was really at the core of it, it was just a day of fun with some friends on the water that really, in a moment's notice, it was just a really bad timing situation, and I don't know. I mean, it ended up being thrown out, which was great, but still sucked. It was definitely like, it's just humiliating. Like, not even like publicly or whatever. I mean, that's all. Of course, like, my ego took a little blow due to the public announcement or whatever. But I mean, just more so like personally in my family and things like that. It was more humiliating from that standpoint. But I mean, it all got cleared up, so it's all good. But it's one of those things, like, always kind of have to have your guard up. Never let it down. That's one thing I've learned over the years.
I'll be honest, it sounded like a very, very strange arrest. It's the first time and the last time since that I've heard of a situation like that. It sounds very, very unique.
Yeah, I actually got a lot of really like comical response from it, just from a lot of friends like in wrestling or whatever that heard about it. They were just like, "What?" Like, and I was like, "Yeah," pretty much that was my response too. So, yeah, it was really weird, really weird.
I mean, from since then, is there I guess there's no kind of lesson or moral to it, is there? It's just one of those things that happened.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. It really. I mean, it was just the timing. It was really the timing of the moment that my friends decided to be rowdy, and I kind of caught the blunt of it. So, it's. I don't really know what else to say about it. It's
yeah,
just,
but it's one of those questions.
It was a really weird situation.
Yeah, it's one of those questions that we kind of have to ask, really, because it's one of those things that's kind of up in the air. We didn't know what happened with it, and now at least we know that from you telling us that it was all thrown out. That's a positive thing as well.
Yeah, that was a good day that that happened, because I was just like, I don't know, it just felt like a very unnecessary stress, at that point, and so that was a relief. But yeah, I mean, just I don't know, just a funny situation. I mean, it's funny now, and it'll probably be even funnier 10 years from now. At the time, it wasn't funny, but everything is funnier after a little bit of time goes by,
Well, one thing that I know that we were thinking about is about this return. Is this because when the injury happened, it was one of those things that you weren't ready for it, obviously, and wrestling was kind of taken away from you before you wanted it to be. And is this come back like a temporary thing, so you might be able to sort of bow out on your own terms, or is this planning to be a full-time, I'm coming back and I'm going to carry on wrestling for the foreseeable future? I mean, is this temporary, or is this a permanent thing?
This, in my mind right now, is a permanent thing. I mean, realistically, I do understand that, I do recognize that one day I would like to be a traditional girl and get married and have a family and whatnot, and when that time comes, I'll have to be healthy for that, But right now, I mean, I'm 26 years old. I still love wrestling with all my heart. It hasn't gone away, and I'm not ready to let that go. So right now, this is full on. He's just back on the scene.
What about plans then? I mean, obviously Shimmer, PWS. Is there anywhere else that you'd like to work? I mean, I know you always loved Japan. Would you like to go back there? Or I mean, what's assuming you come through these return matches and everything's fine? What are you looking at as far as a future? Just anything you can get your hands on?
Well, I do plan to be a little bit selective. I mean, I want to just enjoy myself. I know where I have fun and at the same time have, good matches and what have you. So I'll probably be just focusing on those places. But as far as Japan, that's number one. I mean, that's second to my early commitments here. But Japan will definitely be my focus. And I'm excited because I haven't, since the closing of Smash and Tajiri started Wrestling New Classic, and I've been following that, and I'm excited to go over there and see, Tajiri's just like, he's so passionate and so creative, so I'm excited to see the change that's happened over there, and hopefully I'll be invited back, and that's something that I really look forward to.
You still need to come to the UK as well.
The UK, I know. No, I really want to come to the UK.
Man, you haven't even returned yet, and we're already making plans for this. This is ridiculous. But, I mean, look, I think I can speak for Lee, and I can speak for everybody else when I say that we're really, really pleased to see you back, and we're really pleased to see you come back on your own terms and hopefully be able to give back to wrestling everything that wrestling's given you, and be able to eventually, when you do decide to buy out, that be on your own terms.
Thank you. It's like one of my biggest things is that in this time away, like we discussed, thinking about coming back in the fall and thinking about here and there and whatever. The one thing that I kept feeling is that I really want to come back on my own terms, not meaning based on my injury or whatever, but I didn't want to return to wrestling for any mixed up wrong reasons. I'm not sure. You can gather whatever you want from that statement, but I wanted to return because of my love for it, and that's it. And leading up to a couple of weeks ago, I was still very much on the fence, and I think that probably has a lot to do with the distance I've taken from it and from watching it, and it's not fresh in my mind. But when I went up to PWS, I mean, I told one of my really good friends, Pat Buck, is the lead trainer up there, and he had me at practice with them, and I told him after practice, I was like, I really felt like the 18-year-old little kid that went out and started at OVW. I mean, I had so much fun at practice. We were laughing, we were clapping, we were into it. It was so fun, and it really reminded me of some of those early on feelings and just, some of my early years at OVW, and the fact that I felt like that again was just that was very empowering, and that's really what the decision came down to. It was like, you know what, this is how I feel about wrestling. This practice just reminded me, and it was really great. So definitely feel like I'm going back on my own terms based on my just pure undying love for wrestling.
It's one of these things that, when you speak to somebody like yourself, Serena, who has this joy for wrestling and, has it sort of cruelly taken away from you, I suppose, just by fate. And it's just nice to know that you're now coming back and you're now able to get back to doing what you're doing. I think it's an uplifting story, and I think it's one that I think a lot of people are very happy about. I haven't seen anybody said, "Oh no, I can't believe Serena's coming back." Everybody seems to be very happy about it. So you've got a lot of love out there for you.
Well, thank you very much. That's it's a nice thing to hear. I appreciate it.
We will look forward to seeing you in a few weeks.
I know. It's just about a month and a half away. So I can't wait. I'm so excited.
Okay, well, Serena, thanks again for giving us so much of your time today. I know you're a busy person, and we've taken up, I'm sure, plenty of your time today. Great to speak to you, and we will cover your return with great interest.
Thank you very much, guys, and always a pleasure to speak to you, and thank you for having me, and thanks for your time. Really appreciate it. Can't wait to see you guys in person.